right, so today we're heading over to Liverpool
Mhm.
to this really interesting YouTube channel called Scouse Sit-Off,
Okay.
and we're gonna do a deep dive on this video.
Yeah.
It's one of these raw, straight from the source kind of uploads
Right.
where you get this like unvarnished commentary.
Totally. And what's interesting about this one
Yeah.
is it seems like the speaker is really entrenched in the community that we're looking at.
Yeah, he's definitely not like a polished news reporter or anything like that.
Right.
The speaker is Darren, and he's reacting to a recent murder in Liverpool.
Okay.
And it's interesting because he's using all this kind of coded language almost like
Right. It's like he's speaking to a very specific audience.
Yeah.
And if you're not in the know, you're not going to know what he's talking about.
Yeah, it's like he knows this whole other history of Liverpool.
Yeah, an alternate history.
Yeah.
Running parallel to the official narrative.
Like he casually mentions Kevin Parle
Yes.
and Tony Diaz.
Very significant.
Yeah, and if you didn't know who those figures were,
Yeah.
you would just kind of gloss over them, but they clearly carry a lot of weight in that world.
Absolutely. Those are major players in the criminal underworld in Liverpool.
Yeah, and he also mentions Lucy Harries,
Right.
who was she was a young mother who was murdered years ago.
Yeah, that case seems to be kind of a touchstone in this video.
Yeah.
You know, it's something that he keeps coming back to.
Yeah.
And it feels like he's using it as a way to measure this more recent murder.
Yeah, and it's interesting how he kind of connects these events.
Right.
Like they're all part of this larger story.
Yeah, it's like he's building a narrative
Yeah.
about, the
Yeah.
breakdown of society and how these events are all interconnected.
And it's chilling how he just lists off these unsolved murders.
Yes.
Almost like a grim roll call.
Right. It's a testament to the level of violence that plagues Liverpool.
Yeah. And it really drives home the human cost.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we get so caught up in the statistics and the headlines that we forget these are real people with real lives.
Absolutely. These are families that have been shattered.
And he doesn't let himself off the hook either.
Oh, really?
He talks about his own past,
Okay.
mentions this party lifestyle. Like, he was involved in that world at some point.
Interesting. So he's acknowledging his own connection
Yeah.
to this world that he's describing.
It's not like he's speaking from some high horse.
Right.
He's been down in the trenches.
Right. And that adds a whole other layer of complexity to his commentary.
Yeah. It's not black and white with him.
Right.
It's all very gray.
And he seems particularly disturbed by the fact that this recent murder involved a woman who was shot in her own backyard.
Yeah, that really gets to him.
Yeah, it's like it strikes a nerve.
Mm-hmm.
He compares it to the Lucy Harries case.
Right.
And it highlights that vulnerability
Yeah.
of women and families.
And then he throws out all these different possibilities.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it could have been a domestic dispute, maybe a case of mistaken identity, or even a hit ordered from prison.
Right. And that's an interesting detail.
Yeah.
Because it suggests a level of organization that goes beyond just like street level crime.
Yeah, and he keeps using these terms like rats and eyeballs.
Right. He's speaking the language of the underworld.
Yeah.
Most people wouldn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, what's an eyeball?
Well, it sounds like he's referring to liabilities.
Liability.
People who might talk to the police or pose a risk.
Ah, so it's all about loyalty and betrayal.
Exactly.
Like there's a code.
A code of silence.
Yeah. And if you break it,
There are consequences.
the bad things happen.
Right. He paints a very grim picture of this world,
Yeah.
but it's one that's rooted in his lived experience.
And then he connects this murder
Yeah.
to a girl's death years ago.
Right.
Even brings up Anthony Joshua's outburst after that boxing match. It's like, what does Anthony Joshua have to do with any of this?
It's an interesting connection, isn't it?
Yeah.
But it reveals a lot about how Guy sees the world.
Okay, let's unpack that. So
Yeah.
Anthony Joshua,
Yeah.
what's the connection there?
Well, it's interesting because on the surface,
Yeah,
you wouldn't think there's a link
right.
between, a boxer having an outburst
Mm-hmm.
and, the streets of Liverpool.
Yeah,
But for Guy,
yeah.
it goes back to this idea of redemption.
Redemption.
Yeah, like he sees this pattern of crime and violence.
Right.
But he also believes that people can change,
Okay.
that there's a way out.
And Anthony Joshua represents that for him.
Exactly. Because
Yeah.
remember how Guy talked about his own past?
Yeah, the party lifestyle.
Right. So he sees parallels between his own story and Joshua's.
Like, they both came from tough backgrounds.
Exactly. Made mistakes. But Joshua found a way out.
Through boxing.
Through discipline, through dedication.
And he's even defending Joshua's outburst, saying it doesn't erase all the good he's done.
Right, and that's important.
So for G,
Yeah.
Joshua's like a beacon of hope.
He is. It's like proof that change is possible.
Even for people who've been caught up in that life.
Exactly. And this is where his commentary goes beyond just this one murder.
Yeah.
He's grappling with these larger questions.
Like
societal responsibility, the need for long-term commitment.
Long-term commitment.
To really break these cycles of violence.
They're not a quick fix.
No. It's not about just throwing money at the problem.
Or just locking people up.
It's about addressing the root causes.
And he's not afraid to point fingers either.
No, he's not.
He talks about societal pressures.
Yeah.
The weight that people are carrying. He even says,
What's that?
He asks, who put a metric ton of weight upon everyone's shoulders for the past 2.5 years and now all of a sudden lifted it off?
Wow.
It's like he's talking about the pandemic.
Yeah, the economic fallout.
All the anxiety.
Right. It's like he's saying, don't pretend that this is just about a few bad apples.
Yeah.
We're all part of this system.
But even with all the bleakness,
yeah,
there's still that hope.
There is.
That belief in redemption.
And that's what makes his commentary so compelling.
He brings up another case.
Oh, really?
A stabbing from a few months ago.
Okay.
Mentions Sue Bacon or something like that.
He doesn't quite remember the name.
Yeah, but you can hear the pain in his voice.
Right.
These aren't just headlines to him.
These are people he knew.
Members of his community.
And that's what makes his perspective so valuable.
Feel raw.
So real.
It's like he's saying, pay attention. These are real lives.
Real stories.
They deserve more than just a passing glance.
And that's a powerful message.
Yeah. You know, it's easy to get caught up in the numbers.
Right.
But when you hear someone like G talking about it,
yeah,
it really hits home.
It becomes real.
Like, these aren't just abstract problems. This is happening to real people.
In his backyard.
Like, literally.
Yeah, and that's what makes his message so universal.
Yeah.
You know? It's not just about Liverpool.
It's about all of us.
It's about how we deal with tragedy, how we make sense of injustice.
And how we find hope.
Exactly.
Even when things seem hopeless.
And he's clearly wrestling with these questions himself.
Yeah, like, where do we go from here?
You know, what's the way forward?
What can we do?
He doesn't give us all the answers.
Right.
But he does offer some clues.
Yeah, like what?
Well, he keeps coming back to this idea of long-term commitment.
Long-term commitment.
Like, this isn't something you can just fix overnight.
No.
It's going to take time.
And effort.
And a real commitment to addressing the root causes.
So not just putting Band-Aids on the symptoms.
Right.
We need to tackle the underlying issues.
Poverty, inequality, lack of opportunity.
All those things that create an environment where crime can flourish.
And it's not just on the government or the police.
Right.
This is on all of us.
It's a collective responsibility.
Exactly.
And even though he doesn't say it outright,
yeah,
there's a call to action in his words.
Like, don't just sit there and watch anything.
Make a difference.
And that's what's so powerful about Guy's commentary.
Yeah.
It's not just about giving us the answers.
It's about starting a conversation.
Right.
Making us uncomfortable.
Challenging us to be better.
He's not afraid to get his hands dirty.
No, he's not.
And I think that's why people listen to him.
Yeah, he's authentic.
He's real.
He's not some talking head.
He's been there.
He's lived it.
And he's still fighting for something better.
And that's a powerful message.
It really is.
So the next time you see a headline about crime,
yeah,
about violence,
don't just scroll past it.
Think about the people behind those headlines.
The human stories.
The ripple effects.
And remember that we all have a role to play.
In creating a safer.
And more just.
And more compassionate world.
That's a deep dive worth taking.
It really is.